Hi, Nikki. I am so excited for us to be working together in the Jumpstart program for the Gut Glow Reset. It's going to be a great few weeks where we really kind of collect everything that's going on. I've been collecting data, been asking you a lot of questions, and now we're going to put forward a plan for you to improve your symptoms, really address the root cause issues, help balance your nutritional intake and improve your nutritional intake to help you feel so much better and feeling really, really good every day, and just using the tools you need to get into that optimal state of health and just keep you feeling really good. We don't want you, especially as a new mother, to be feeling all these symptoms and bogged down every day. We want you feeling your best. So I'm really glad that you did this and we can dive in. So I'm going to share my screen with you. It's really going over your entire plan, your welcome packet. You'll have access to the PDF, so you can download that. So you have everything written out for you. So you don't really need to take any notes. I just want you to listen, absorb everything, and then we'll chat about any questions that you have, because it will be a lot of information at once and we can definitely digest it slowly. So I'm going to share my screen and you'll be seeing the packet. Okay. So this is that welcome packet. It's about 40 pages, so we're not going to go over the entire thing word for word, but we're going to go over your plan, your recommendations, some targeted supplements, a little bit about the clinical assessment of the picture that I see that's going on for you. I'm obviously not a doctor, so I can't diagnose, but these are things that I specialize in and that I have seen countless times, that I can really put the picture together very well for someone with these symptoms that I see going on. And then I recommend certain testing for you. I know we said we weren't going to go forward with SIBO testing. We're really going to treat based on symptoms, which I think is still really, really helpful. And I've seen it be successful many times. And that's okay. So we can still do other testing and we can still look at other labs that can be supportive to the picture we're assessing and the plan that we're creating. If you hear any noise in the background, my puppy's running around. So I'll show her you in a little bit though. She's so cute. So we'll obviously be talking, we're all going to be talking on Healthy Messenger. We're going to be, talking through email, through Google Drive. You saw that roadmap where we can both access and we can upload information. Healthy is HIPAA compliant, just meaning that I know you work in the medical field. This just means that your data is protected. You'll be using that food journal, which is really, really helpful for us to utilize over the 3 weeks, especially because it's a condensed version of my program. So I want to make sure that I'm assessing as much as I can for you and giving you proper recommendations based on what you're posting. I would definitely love for you to continue to log your symptoms, bowel movements, exercise. You can put just a note about any thoughts that you're having because it kind of timestamps it, which is nice. And posting photos is really helpful because I can see your portion sizes and the balance of your plate a little bit better than sometimes if you're just writing something in, but I'd rather you just write something in than not post a photo, not do anything. So anything you post is helpful. The more you post, the better. And I'll obviously be giving you constructive feedback and support, and your roadmap will be frequently updated throughout the recommendations of the program and beyond. So I'll be then filling in what I recommend for you to do over the next several months, even after us working together. So those things will be timestamped, like towards the end of the program. I'll fill that out. Obviously, you can choose to work with me further. Otherwise, I'll lay it out for you what I recommend for you to do over these next few months. And then on Fridays, the 3 Fridays that we're working together, I'll have you fill in a little weekly reflection on the roadmap. So definitely check back there each Friday. And you can always send me menus if you're going out to eat, you're not sure what to eat to reduce your bloating. You could send me menus ahead of time that can be then reviewed, and we can go over and choose something that I think that will be most beneficial to you. So I don't want you to feel like you can't go out, you can't do anything. There's always modifications to be made. And that goes for anything, right? That goes for not just the short-term elimination diet, but for the future, for creating a balanced lifestyle, for creating a healthy eating plan. We always want room for modifications. We don't want it to feel super restrictive. We want it to feel abundant, and that we can think with our mindset, what can we add to this to make it more nutritious, as opposed to how many things should I take away? So this is your health vision form. I'm going to share this with you through email, so you don't have to fill it out on here. But it just really kind of circles back to what having good health means to you. Why is this important to you? And what is your why that's going to keep you coming back to yourself and motivated on this journey, especially like after the 3 weeks is up. So I'll have you fill that out. She's biting my hand. And this is just a little bit about us being what our bacteria eat. So what we eat actually feeds our microbiome and not just feeding ourselves, right? So it's feeding our gut microbiome information. Our microbiome is a unique fingerprint. Only we have the unique microbiome that we have and the unique microbes that we have in the collection of bacteria. So what we eat actually promotes disease over time or promotes good health, because what we eat dictate what kind of microbes we have over the course of our lifetime. And some of these things on the left can also negatively affect the microbiome, like excess sugar intake, low fiber intake, high saturated fat and processed foods. Definitely antibiotics is a huge one that I see can cause the most damage to the microbiome over time. Things like PPIs or antacids, things that lower our stomach acid, artificial sweeteners, all of these things can disrupt our microbiome, which then increases our bacterial toxin production, increases gut inflammation, changes our bowels, causes diarrhea and constipation, causes blood sugar imbalance, because our microbiome has a huge effect on our insulin resistance. So it's not just what we eat that affects our blood sugar, it's the state of our microbiome and the balance of good and bad bacteria there. Then we have things like all these beneficial compounds, like prebiotic foods or foods that feed our good gut bacteria, which we'll talk about, probiotics, so foods that contain live bacteria in them, fiber, which is veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds, and whole grains, all these foods that feed our good gut bacteria that act as kind of fuel for them to replicate and grow and proliferate over the bad bacteria. Then we have foods that contain high polyphenols, like a lot of red fruits and vegetables. We have resistant starches. So I'll be teaching you a lot about these things. We also have herbs and spices that are really, really potent and really great for our gut and inflammation at the cellular lining in the gut. So all these beneficial products and things that we're feeding our good gut bacteria help to improve our weight loss resistance. They reduce gut inflammation. They lead to a stronger immune system in the gut. So you're not going to get sick as much. You're not going to have as many allergies. And I know you said you have a lot of like post-nasal drip. So a lot of these things are impacted by the state of our gut. We also then see better blood sugar regulation, which leads to better mood stabilization and easier weight loss. So all these things are connected, and the gut is at the root of a lot of these issues. So we know chronic stress, that's a big one that impacts the microbiome health. We know antibiotics and even medicines like Advil, ibuprofen, they're altering the microbes in our gut. Low fiber diet, because we're not getting that beneficial food that feeds our good gut bacteria when we don't eat enough. We skip meals, that reduces our fiber intake, and that also increases our processed food intake, but we're not having as much fiber. We're having more refined foods, more high fat foods high in sugar. Then we have infections like SIBO, we have candida, fungal overgrowth. And I know you did say you had a frequent amount of yeast infections over the past year. That is an indicator that there is an imbalance in the microbiome in the gut, because the microbiome in the gut strongly correlates with the vaginal microbiome. So we want to be addressing these things. We're going to be addressing the large intestinal imbalance as well as small intestinal imbalance that are affecting a lot of these symptoms. Birth control. I know you said you were on it for about 10 years, and it's sad that this issue isn't really discussed when you're being handed a birth control pill or prescription. It's been a long week. And this little one's, you haven't met her, but this is little Rosie. She's so cute. She's a handful. So birth control for 10 years, we know that can impact the microbiome. It can impact our gut motility, which impacts constipation. And we also know that alcohol can impact gut microbiome, processed vegetable oils, and gluten and conventional dairy for some people. So I don't recommend, a blanket statement of no gluten or dairy. It really depends on the person. So We're going to go through some phases, and a few will be after our program together, the 3 weeks. So our phase 1, which is in these few weeks together, will be kind of creating this holistic approach to your healing plan. And we're going to go over my balanced meal formula. I had you watch the balanced meal for a healthy gut lesson to help build your meals and improve your meal timing, meal spacing, improve your plate balance. And we're going to talk a little bit about some swaps to reduce fermentable carbohydrates in the diet. So we don't need to do kind of a full elimination, but helping to make certain FODMAP swaps is really beneficial for you right now for reducing your bloating. But I want to say also balanced meals, and having 3 balanced meals a day will always come first. Those foundations really matter. This allows that immune system to suppress from its heightened state, allows the gut to reduce an inflammation as we reduce the fermentable carbohydrates that bacteria like to feed on when they're in balance. And if there's bacteria up in your small intestine, they're reacting on these carbohydrates too soon in the digestive tract. And that's what's causing that pregnant looking bloat almost at the end of the day. So we'll talk about some supplements, and there'll be different supplements recommended at different points of your journey, which I'll also specify in your roadmap over these next few months. Then I'll recommend a reintroduction phase where you're trialing large portion sizes of those fermentable carbs after we've treated your bacterial overgrowth. And then the goal is that you're not going to have any symptoms. You're going to have so much more energy, and you're going to just be feeling so much better without needing to restrict any foods. So I made a little assessment plan for you, and I just wrote at the top your current weight, your ideal body weight range based on your height, 95 to 116. Definitely don't need to be, at that exact weight, especially for your first goal. I know your first goal weight was 120 to 125, and I think that's a really healthy range for you. And with gut healing and just with preserving muscle mass, you always want to aim for 1/2 to 2 pounds a week for a healthy rate of weight loss. Because we don't want to lose muscle mass if you lose weight too quickly. And we also want to be aware that strength training is also really important because that does help preserve muscle mass. It helps improve our metabolic health, and it's really great for our gut microbes. So we can come up with together like a realistic exercise plan for you. And I know you said right now you had in the past done the HIIT workouts, and you're walking 2 to 3 miles at least 3 times a week, which is amazing. So I would say also getting in maybe like an online yoga class or Pilates or bar is really going to be beneficial for you, especially for your adrenal glands, which are your stress glands, your glands that emit our stress hormones, especially with all this internal stress going on with the gut and your metabolism. Your adrenals can be a little overworked and a little tired. So doing some light, non-HIIT exercises would be a little bit more beneficial right now for you. So I'm going to list some of these assessment points where I kind of laid out what I think is going on with you. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose, but I have a lot of experience with this. So I think you definitely have a high likelihood of SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where the bacteria are in the small intestine. They're not supposed to be there. And it's also probably SIFO, which is a fungal overgrowth, because you have signs of fungal issues, like we talked about with the yeast infections. That definitely all is systemic when it comes to yeast. So I believe it's also methane dominant, which is one of the 3 gases of SIBO. I'll also have you watch the SIBO video lesson just so you get a better understanding of what SIBO is. And I just wrote everything, all of your symptoms as evidenced by a lot of these things that indicate that you have SIBO, such as chronic bloating, fatigue, gas, nausea, low stomach acid, which I suspect as well with that stomach acid test and a lot of those symptoms, sluggish gut motility. So when we have frequent constipation and your polka dot test was over a day and a half, we know that means that your motility of the rate of your digestive tract is not moving quickly enough. And when you develop SIBO, that can actually perpetuate that symptom. So those gases that the SIBO bacteria are producing can actually slow down your motility even more, and then cause your bowel movements to not be as frequent. So the birth control use actually impacts that as well over the past 10 years. So It has been shown to reduce the rate at which your motility of your gut moves along. So it's definitely impacted by that. I'm thinking back in the day for sure, kind of was one of the catalysts. In addition to like if you were frequently skipping meals or not having as much fiber intake. And it also has been shown to impact our diet, our microbiome diversity in the large intestine, which we know if large intestinal microbiome is impaired, that also raises a risk for SIBO higher up in the digestive tract. We also know that it influences our gallbladder function when we're on birth control for a long time. And that can also increase risk of SIBO. And you also had said that you had some upper right sided pain, which to me would indicate that you would need to get your gallbladder checked. So I did write that on one of your following sheets here about your primary doctor. So I just wrote in the next bullet how, kind of what I just explained, how SIBO, microbiome imbalance and motility are all connected with the birth control and how that affects your motility, which is in your small intestine. Your motility is called your MMC, or your migrating motor complex, which we see affected with SIBO. We also know that typically with SIBO and dysbiosis in the large and small intestine, there is leaky gut or gut permeability. So we want to be targeting that as well over the course of your, recommendations past the program. We know that you have high food sensitivities, you have prolonged sinus issues that have been linked to leaky gut, and then as well as your GI and non-GI symptoms. So brain fog and fatigue, skin conditions, anxiety, mood changes, all of these things are actually connected to a gut leakiness or gut permeability. And I know it sounds silly, but that actually is a scientific term. Leaky gut is more of the layman's term of it, but gut permeability is the more scientific term of food particles and bacteria leaking through our gut into the bloodstream when they're not supposed to. So I also have a video lesson on that I'll have you watch later on. Hold on. Okay. So I also think with a lot of your symptoms that you have are low stomach acid and possibly gastritis, because you've been having undigested food in your stools. You've been feeling abnormally full after smaller meals. You're having upper abdominal pain and bloating. You had that baking soda test results, which indicated lower stomach acid. And this is also a trigger for SIBO development. So I'm going to be talking to you about low stomach acid, and I also have a video lesson on it. We really want to be having natural solutions to improve our stomach acid production, but I also will have you take a certain supplement that helps supplement the stomach acid in the meantime. So when you have a meal, you'll take the pill, and that will also help to improve your upper stomach digestion, which eases the path for the rest of your digestive process. So I'm also recommending to possibly with your primary, but more likely a GI doctor, to take a H. pylori test, which also can cause low stomach acid. So it's always good to kind of rule that out because we know that it can cause that. I had discussed before having adrenal stress, so chronic stressors on the body with under eating, because I definitely don't think you have been eating enough. Like you said, you've been skipping lunch, having more like grazing patterns, which has a lower calorie intake than what you need for an adult. So, no judgment. I just want to help you get to that point where you can have those 3 balanced meals and minimizing the grazing, because grazing on things throughout the day actually hurts our digestion. And we really kind of benefit from those rest periods between meals, especially since you deal with some constipation. When we're grazing all day, we're really turning off our motility and the movement of the GI tract every single time we eat. So we really need those rest periods for food to move along more quickly and move along in the digestive tract. I also think you may have issues with the vagus nerve, which means the nerve that runs from the gut to the brain, because we can see that play a role in motility as well. So we will be targeting that a little bit because we really want to improve that motility, improve that constipation, improve all these gut brain issues. Like we said, I know you checked off some things like anxiety and/or depression, brain fog, irritability, and mood swings. A lot of these things have to do with the gut because the gut and the brain are always communicating. Then we want to also rule out hypothyroidism, whether it's subclinical or that it's full blown. I'm not sure if you've had your TSH, T3, T4 checked in the past, but if you can get those past labs, I can definitely kind of evaluate what you're prone to or what's been going on in the recent past, and then we can get the new ones to support that. Because we know when the thyroid is sluggish, the gut becomes sluggish, and that promotes SIBO overgrowth. So it's all connected. So we always want to make sure that we're not just treating SIBO, we're making sure that we're looking at anything that could affect the development of SIBO. We don't want it to come back. This is just kind of explaining how we're going through the process of reducing the fermentable carbs. The FODMAPs is the goal initially. Then like we said, we could confirm the presence of SIBO, but we're going to move forward without that. We're going to work on eliminating the bacteria and improve dysbiosis in the large intestine. And I use something called antimicrobials that do both of those things at the same time that don't harm the good bacteria. We don't want to use antibiotics that kill everything, that have a really high relapse rate. We want to be addressing pathogens like fungi and bacteria, and antimicrobials are the way to go with that. They're a gentle antimicrobial that works over time, that is improving the shape and of the microbiome, as well as killing SIBO bacteria. We're going to also be repairing the intestinal lining damage, like we said, with leaky gut, improve its integrity, because there are a lot of evidence-based herbs and things like collagen and L-glutamine that can really help build up that gut lining. And then we want to restore the motility of the GI tract. We'll also be using different probiotics and prebiotics that I'll be recommending throughout the beginning of the program and beyond. So again, I'll be listing which things I recommend for you. And I have a supplement dispensary that you could order from that makes it really easy. Got Rosie scratching. These are some of the primary doctor recommendations. We'll talk about these a little bit more in depth when you get, if you upload those past ones and when you get the new ones, because they kind of may look a little strange right now because some of them are not always tested. It really, depends on your doctor and what they're willing to test for. So, and I would also love for you to get an upper GI ultrasound, because if you explain that upper GI pain, they may be looking, you can say, my dietitian just recommended that because I want to make sure I don't have any gallstones or gallbladder issues. And then I would recommend getting a GI doctor referral from your primary doctor so we can rule out more serious gut disease in addition to SIBO. We always want to make sure there's nothing structural going on. There's no inflammatory bowel disease. There's no celiac. We can get an H. pylori test. So there's some things that they can do that the primary doctor can't. There's also down the line the ability to do an optional large intestinal microbiome test, which is about 170. So that's something I like to use, just really optional with a client, but it's really just cool to see a lot of the specific microbes in the large intestine. It'll show you bacterial toxins being produced. It'll show you a microbiome diversity score and just really interesting data like that. So that's always an option. So some of your goals are to create a wide and diverse range of plant foods and vegetable intake and fruit intake as well to promote a healthy gut on the temporary elimination and beyond, because that is one of the biggest factors when it comes to healthy gut, is having a diverse diet full of different plants. That's one of the biggest indicators of a resilient microbiome is a diverse range of food that you're intaking every day that's healthy, that's from nature. So we're going to be, I'll have you do a little plant diversity challenge in 1 week where over 7 days, you'll measure the plants you're eating and that you want that to be increasing over the course of the next few months. So we want to increase your calorie intake, improve your under eating status, because your adrenals can see that actually as a perceived state of stress on the body. When we're not eating, our body can stay in fight or flight mode. And really, we can have a difficult time healing. So we want to get that foundation of increasing your meals to 3 times a day, improve that blood sugar balance, because that impacts our mood and our fatigue when we're not eating enough or we're not having balanced meals. And we want to eradicate the SIBO, rebalance your large intestinal microbiome. We want to uncover all those possible root causes, like check your thyroid and Understand that dysbiosis and has played a role in the large intestine and your motility issues. We want to be addressing motility. We'll be doing that specifically together. We want to address vagus nerve health and the gut brain axis. You're off birth control. So that also helps with your healing process. So that's not going to be bogging you down with motility issues anymore. So we're going to support your stomach acid levels naturally. We're going to optimize your motility, improve gut permeability, support your liver function because your liver is playing a role in a lot of this. The liver takes on a lot of what's going on in the gut. So it's been a little bit stressed out. So I also have a whole liver PowerPoint that I'll have you go through as well. Probably in towards the end, I'll spread them out for you over this course of the 3 weeks. But, it would be good to get them all in the 3 weeks so that we can really talk about them and make sure that we know what you need to implement for you. I know your water goal, right now you're only having about 40 ounces a day. So maybe we can set a goal not of 90, that is the higher end, but maybe 60, really kind of meeting in the middle, which is realistic for you. So let me know what you think about that and what's a realistic number for you. But ideally, you do want to be getting to at least 90. Because it's about half your weight in ounces daily, plus a little bit more due to you having frequent constipation. I also am recommending for you some mineral mocktails, which are in your program modules. If you see that PDF, and they're really great for your mineral status, which tends to be suboptimal and low with chronic constipation and GI issues. So definitely check that out. There's some really cool recipes on there with coconut water, pineapple, magnesium. Redmond's real salt is linked in there as well, which is the high quality salt that I recommend. And salt has really been demonized, but it is so, so great for you when it's the proper salt that's not processed. It's not table salt. It's high quality mineral salt that helps water actually get into our cells for cellular hydration and improves constipation and improves energy by improving our mineral status. It also has potassium, which is really important for our motility as well. So this is your recommended plan with checking out all the low FODMAP modules. Again, I have a low FODMAP video that's going to walk you through this, and I'm going to help walk you through this as well. The more you post in your journals, I'll tell you now the highest FODMAP foods that we want to be reducing are garlic, onion, asparagus, cauliflower, apples, plums, peaches, dates, mushrooms. So those are the really high FODMAP foods that I want you to omit for now. Blackberries, mango, you'll start learning them the more that you're posting. And I'm going to be sending you some sample plans, and you do have one sample plan already in your program. And then I'll be sending you another one in the next few days, just so you can have it when you go grocery shopping. I have a whole grocery guide in there as well. So, there's also the Monash app, which is really important and helpful for portion sizes and picking, which foods are low FODMAP. If you need help there, you can always message me also. Then there's the Spoonful app, which is great for grocery shopping and scanning products for low FODMAP references. And I have links to these in the low FODMAP folder in your documents and healthy. Then we have autoimmunity, which is one of my favorite clinically studied herbs for upper GI and small intestinal lining. So that's really great for that inflammation I was talking about at the gut lining and that gut permeability. So that's really helpful. Then we have examples of low FODMAP, high fiber foods that we want to increase. So things like kiwi, pumpkin, which is great for this time of year when, you can make some pumpkin baked goods or pumpkin spice latte. With real pumpkin in it. Then you could have gluten-free oats, ground flax seeds, chia, sweet potato, carrots, hemp seeds, walnuts, almonds, potatoes, quinoa. These are all really great options for low bloat, high fiber intake. Then we have ginger tea as a suggestion for you, maybe once or twice a day, or if you can't do it once a day, maybe every other day, on an empty stomach, whether that's between a meal, before, breakfast. But it's really great when it's on an empty stomach because it's working on that motility. So ginger is a prokinetic, meaning it increases the rate of digestion. And just a side note, I think a lot of the times you're having diarrhea, I think it's an overflow from being a little backed up with constipation. So that's a thing where you can have some sluggish motility, but then you get overflow diarrhea is what it's called. So I know it's TMI, but I believe that's what's going on. These are some foods that are high in omega-3 fatty acids, which are really great for inflammation in the gut, in the body. Then we have anti-inflammatory herbs. I have a turmeric, lots of turmeric in my document section for you because I love turmeric and its anti-inflammatory properties. And then I just wrote here, just reminders about the 3 balanced meals using the meal formula, which I'll get to. And you really don't want to be skipping meals if you're bloated. I know it's very tempting if you don't feel well, but you want to at least have a small balanced meal to keep your blood sugar stable, to improve your digestive capacity, and just promote the healing process. Because we can't heal if we don't have enough calories or nutrition to heal. And then you really kind of want to aim for about 12 to 14 hours between dinner and breakfast to really allow that small intestine to recover and clean out any food from the night before. And it's best if you don't eat about 2 to 3 hours before bed, to allow food sitting in the small intestine overnight. But use your judgment. If you're hungry, I do want you to have a balanced snack. I don't want you to go to bed hungry. So these are some supplement recommendations, especially for the first week. And then, I'll be adding probably just in the 3 weeks, maybe like 1 or 2 more things, probably not a lot, because I want you to kind of do well on these initial ones and get you going. So I'm recommending the 2 antimicrobials that work together as a duo, and one I'll be sending to you as part of the program. So they are called Biotics, Epsicidal, and Dysbiocide. They, again, they're antimicrobials that kill SIBO bacteria. They help improve the balance in the large intestinal microbiome, which is really important in the colon. And then we have now super enzymes, which is supplementing you with HCl, which is a little bit of stomach acid, pancreatic enzymes, and bile extract, because you may be having impaired bile flow, like we said, from the gallbladder. Especially because also SIBO denatures bile. It doesn't like bile, so it kind of inactivates it, and that can also cause diarrhea when we have fat malabsorption. So we want to be supplementing with some of these upper stomach digestive juices and stomach acid and enzymes to help everything as it's going down your GI tract. And that won't be, again, none of this will be forever. These are just temporary additions to really help improve your digestive checkpoints and your microbiome. Then we have a transil, which is really, really well studied to support antimicrobial action in the small intestine. So it helps block the gas production from those fermentable carbohydrates. So it will help not only improve symptoms, but it's actually addressing the root of the issue too, because it's actually blocking gas production at the source. Then we have a motility activator, which is an herbal prokinetic to really help your small intestinal motility and help improve your bowel movements to never skipping a day, helping to improve serotonin levels in the gut, which is really important for your digestive movement and that vagus nerve support. So when we get the motility going, we're kind of like re-stimulating your own natural motility that may have been slowed down from those 10 years of birth control, as well as SIBO development. Then we have also, lastly, a high quality multivitamin with minerals, because usually with SIBO, there's impaired absorption of nutrients like B vitamins and zinc, especially B12, that can lead to low energy. So we really want to be supplementing with some of these B vitamins, especially if your diet hasn't been as well-rounded, like you said. Like if you have been skipping some meals, you're likely not getting enough nutrients day to day. So this is a little bit more about SIBO. Again, I'll have you watch the SIBO video lesson, but it's caused by low in digestive enzymes, low stomach acid, damaged motility, which is that migrating motor complex, taking reflux medications, being on antibiotics, and taking birth control. So for you, that birth control and the migrating motor complex to me really stand out, and that stomach acid. Then we have things like diet high in starches and complex sugars. That can also be a cause over time, like we said, if we're not eating enough fiber. These are some of those symptoms, which you definitely have a lot of those local GI effects, plus the fatigue. I know you said acne in the past, or depression and anxiety. And then, so that's why here also there's increased risk factors when it comes to like celiac, and other things going on in the gut. So usually if I see like rosacea, I'll really connect it with SIBO pretty strongly. So that's why with celiac, I always like to recommend to get that tested to make sure that that's not an indirect cause, because there's increased risk of SIBO with celiac. This is just a little bit more about how we're going to work on increasing your stomach acid, support your stomach acid levels. This is a little more about FODMAPs. These are some of those foods I was highlighting. We also have like wheat bread. So we really want to be looking more towards like gluten-free and sourdough. Sourdough has lower FODMAPs than regular wheat. But if you're having about one slice of wheat bread a day, or like a half of a sandwich, or like an open face sandwich at a restaurant, the one piece should be totally fine and doable. It's more when it's about 2 slices or more. But if you're having toast a lot, I would recommend you getting some sourdough bread, because that is great probiotics actually as well. So FODMAPs just stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols, basically just the scientific names for all the different types of carbohydrates that ferment in our small intestine and then cause gas in the large intestine when we have an imbalanced gut. So we're basically just trying to reduce these foods for now while we work on the gut imbalance. This is a little bit more about how to build a low FODMAP meal. So kind of gives you, okay, here's the grain that you should choose from, the protein, veggies that are all low bloat, low FODMAP fruits to have either with breakfast or with a snack. And then all these cheeses are low FODMAP as well. You just don't want to be having like, what cheeses are high FODMAP? Any like a large amount of like mozzarella in a quarter cup is low FODMAP. So you can always ask me again if you're not sure. And it's okay if it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. We just want to be lowering them overall in your diet to help reduce the gas production and bloating. Then we have nuts. The only nuts that are high FODMAP to avoid, I would say, are pistachios and cashews. The rest are good. This is that balanced meal formula I was talking about, where we have half of your plate not recommended as non-starchy vegetables. This is twice a day that I recommend this. Breakfast can be a little different. If you can get veggies in at breakfast, that's amazing. I always recommend some sort of fiber with breakfast, whether it's fruit, some greens, some veggies, some seeds like chia or flax seeds. Those are always really helpful to boost your fiber intake for the day. So we recommend half your plate non-starchy vegetables, a quarter plate whole grains or starches, a quarter plate lean protein, and a serving of healthy fats. And I listed different ideas for that are all low bloat and low FODMAP. So these are just some ideas. Again, I'll be sending you some different like meal recommendations and ideas. And I have a whole low FODMAP recipe folder that you can go through to kind of get some more ideas there as well. These are just elaborating on the balanced plate, more whole grain and starch examples that are all low FODMAP, all lean protein recommendations, healthy fats. And this is just a little bit about snacking. I always recommend, if you can, to balance out your carbohydrate with a protein or healthy fat. And you want to really evaluate, especially if you have the history of like grazing on your daughter's like leftover food. You want to ask yourself, are you really hungry? Did I eat lunch? Do I need to eat a meal before I'm then going to graze on snacks? Because just grazing on a bunch of things is probably not going to give you the macros that you need to nourish your body and get through the day and have enough energy. So we really want to think balanced meals and then balanced snacks in order to improve our blood sugar regulation and gut health. This is just showing the importance of a balanced breakfast, again, where we want to really have a protein and a fat, so we're not spiking our blood sugar, and it drops about 2 hours later. And that dropped period, where we see that 240 minutes where it's lower than the rest of the line, that's where we really usually see that heavy fatigue, that low energy, that energy dip, because we didn't have a balanced breakfast. So this is an example of a high fiber breakfast that's not revolved around carbohydrates. That's going to keep us fuller longer, instead of being hungry again very quickly and looking for more carbs, because our brain, is asking for more blood sugar to raise our blood sugar. These are just some more wellness recommendations. We want to be hydrating as best we can in the morning before caffeinating. We want to be eating, if we can, also breakfast with coffee or breakfast before coffee. You don't want coffee to be the first thing that hits your gut in the morning. That's really not great for our upper stomach and for our adrenal, our stress hormones. And then I just mentioned some other things like bone broth concentrate, which I like. for the gut lining. Kiwis are also great for bowel regularity, help preventing constipation. I like the squatty potty because it's really great for proper elimination form. Then we have a grass-fed collagen powder, which is really great for the gut lining as well. I have a whole Amazon page linked here as well for low FODMAP, with a whole low FODMAP section that will give you a lot more ideas and just food choices that are really accessible that you can order online, or you can get them in the store. You can pull up the list in the store as you're shopping. So I really like that as well, just for more ideas for you. So these are some low FODMAP fruit portion, choices and their portion sizes. Don't go too crazy about the portion sizes. I'll also be connecting like portion sizes with you and foods with you in your journals, and we'll connect symptoms with foods as best we can so we can move forward. These are just some great low FODMAP, high fiber foods: chia, walnuts, quinoa, pumpkin seeds, brown rice, half a cup of chickpeas. These are some great flavorings to replace garlic and onion. This is an example of a low FODMAP Buddha bowl, which I love. It's really good. It's actually meat-free also. Then we have just some ways to optimize your fiber intake, limit your refined sugar intake, a healthy snack list that's all low FODMAP and low bloat. Then we have a few items that you could meal prep that could make your week a little bit easier, such as quinoa, green beans, a healthy salad dressing that's garlic and onion free. Then we have sweet potatoes, and then a few different recipes. So turmeric tea, you could also, instead of, you could use fresh turmeric, you can use ground turmeric, either one is fine. You can make your own bone broth. You can also get like a garlic and onion free bone broth. Then we have a strawberry almond butter oatmeal recipe, and we have a smoothie recipe. So you have a lot more in your, in your documents, but these are just kind of ones to get you started. So that's the end of the packet. I know it's a lot of information, but I'm here, if you want to pause it and ask a question, I'm here if you want to kind of go through it like that. Otherwise, you can ask any questions you need to at the end of the video once you're done. And you can, then go ahead and order your supplements that I recommended. Hopefully you can order them in the first week, just so we can get you going on them, get you started, and get you feeling better as soon as possible. So let me know questions you have, and I'm here to chat. Excited for you to feel so much better. I'll talk to you soon.